Would you mind telling me whose brain I did put in?
And you won't be angry?
I will not be angry.
Abby someone.
Abby someone. Abby who?
Abby normal.
This is the Abby Normal Podcast, here to tell you that you're weird, and that's normal. You may remember that the majority of my notes focus on flirting, who you like and who you're going for. Well, the tone of the notes starts ramping up from flirting to straight up horny desperation. I know that the stereotype is that teenage boys think about girls, sex, and their penises constantly. But I am here to propose that boys do not take this prize. Teenage girls are also walking horn dogs, ogling boys, and plotting future makeout opportunities at every turn. We actually came up with our own language to talk about our feelings of desire. So let me give you the vocab and an example from the notes. Sprawly and fidgety both just mean horny. George just walked by and all he had on was a tank top and shorts, and I was so sprawly. Guy hunting and small lovin' mean finding a boy to kiss and play with. I like how Andrew looks mucho fine today, and that's not good for my hormonal juices. It can damage them. I'm trying to say that I need some lovin' from Andrew. Now, not later. Now. Here's a couple more gems. I just wanted to remind you that you think Nick is yours this weekend. I guess it's my turn and I talked to him first. So next weekend at Pine Flat, we might have a little tiff over who gets to lay on the sleeping bag with him. You better pray that Andrew comes, because if he doesn't, I'll have no one to sprawl with, and I'll turn to Nick and take him very quickly before you can even say, wait. I wanted to get it on with Brian, but John Boy got me first. Who were you expressing your horniness to? I've never made out in a playhouse before. Hi, I am beyond bored. Are you sprawly? I am. No joke. All they were doing yesterday on the pretty soap operas were making out. I needed my cute little precious moments boy at that moment, and I was seriously spazzing out, and I couldn't do anything about it. It was really hard to handle. So when you combine these desires and a complete lack of experience, things get a little weird. Oh my gosh. Okay, so when I was in middle school, I would draw attention to myself and
via what means?
Acting like an idiot.
Okay.
In some way, saying something ridiculous or wearing something ridiculous. And this is hard. I'm really trying to think like what were the physical manifestations of flirting?
Right.
You know, like
I got a little slappy.
I do feel like there was a lot of like really awkward touching.
Right,
so,
not like slappy on the face, but like not so much slappy as like smacky. Like I would smack them on the arm or something.
Right.
Or like a tiny push. Just like an excuse to make physical contact.
Totally.
But it was definitely in a mean way. Like that I flirted by way of like being like, ew, go away.
100% it was all mean, right?
Yeah.
So I had many boys slap my butt, grab my butt, even in middle school that happened. Which
really?
Yeah, I mean, like, of course I now have very contradictory feelings about that. Like, I would not want my daughter to be touched in that way without her consent.
Right.
But I
Do you feel like you would have given consent had they asked for it at that age?
So, probably.
Okay.
I mean, I think that I probably found it flattering. Like,
I just feel like
there's something about me that they like, and that's what's making them do that. And so,
Right.
yeah, I probably liked it.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Like,
Yeah. I mean, not always, right? It would have depended on the boy that did it.
right. Of course.
But then there's a certain amount of like, okay, they were willing to do that. Like they were willing to run by and hit my butt, but not talk to me and not ask me out, not
Right,
ask me to go around, you know?
But that's like developed interpretations and emotional intelligence, you know? Like, I'm sure that's not necessarily what your middle school brain was thinking.
No, my middle school brain was like, they like my butt and I like having my butt liked. So,
Right.
so that works out for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think that at that age, even in high school, that I would have had the emotional intelligence to be like, well, he's only willing to touch my butt. He's not willing to listen to any words that come out of my mouth.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. I mean, even at that age, like I was able to make a differentiation with boys that were willing to like be my friend and talk with me versus boys that were just willing to touch me. Like I understood
but that's exactly
that difference.
what the difference was.
Right.
Is that the ones that wanted to talk to you were your friends because we were stupid. Right?
Yeah. I did slap my first boy in 8th grade, and it was for that.
For touching you or for being your friend?
He was a friend
Who touched your butt.
Who touched my butt at school. And also he was a big shit talker. He was like one of those big personalities.
Oh.
So he probably said something to me too that I didn't like. And yeah, no, I brought that hand back real far, gave him a good slap. So
Good. On the
you know.
face?
Oh yeah, on the face.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we're still friends, so
Oh, good.
I mean at least via Facebook.
That counts.
Yeah, if he was here right now, he'd tell you the story and say I was the first girl that slapped him too. So he's probably had more girls slap him. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we call him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so there was a lot of meanness in the flirting.
Totally, because I don't think anybody told us how to do otherwise.
Of course not, but how would they? I'm not going to teach my kid how to flirt. That's weird. I'm going to teach her consent only.
But I mean, I feel like you've already taught her not necessarily how to flirt, but that we're not unkind to people. Which I personally don't think that's a lesson that I got.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like boys for sure don't get any kind of lesson on...
Well, it's the antithesis of what we were... Like, flirting as you get older is the exact opposite of what we were told when we were younger, right? Because we were told if a boy is mean to you when you're little, that means he likes you.
Right.
So our minds were poisoned from a very young age.
So true. Like, did he pull your pigtails? That's because he likes you.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's because he's an asshole.
Right.
So we were told wrong.
Yeah, I mean, if men are going around pulling our hair on Bart,
Right.
no, they're not flirting with us.
No.
They're on drugs.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you flirt as an adult?
I'm mean to the boys that I like. No. Well, I don't know. Whatever I'm doing isn't working. So.
I mean, it is kind of instinctual. It's instinctual and intellectual now, right? Like, flirting is, I'm totally
It's
talking
like,
for you.
No,
but
it's
it's
verbal
like,
sparring.
it's, oh, thank you. That's
You're welcome.
perfect.
Yes,
Yes.
I knew that is exactly what you were thinking. Verbal sparring.
Yes.
And it is intelligent, and it's typically about something that's a common interest. So, like, are you're just, like, you're fucking with each other. You're not actually being mean. It's not mean-spirited.
Right, but it definitely is like pushing on the other person, right?
Yeah, a little bit, but I don't think it's in a way that's meant to be hurtful or
No.
embarrassing, you know? It's just supposed to, like, provoke them a little.
Provoke. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's what I do.
Well, and it's just like talking about common interests.
Right.
Anytime you're like spending your own energy and attention talking about a topic you're both interested in, to a certain extent, there's like a flirt involved there.
Right, and then depending on how much alcohol I've had, I will just be like, I like you. Which I don't know if that counts as flirting as much as it's just like, I blew my cover, you know?
And it's body language. So it's
Totally. Body language is
leaning into the other person.
finding a reason to touch them.
Right, exactly. There might be like some hair tossing or playing with. There might be cleavage
I might bite my bottom lip, essentially.
happening. Yeah. Oh, laughing like too hard at their jokes.
Laughing at literally every word that comes out of their mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I do feel like these are basically the things that you were learning and doing middle school through high school. You've just like perfected the art, and you've certainly decided who is worth
The flirt.
the flirt. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's not the indiscriminate flirting
Right.
that happened in middle school, where it was just like throw it out and see who catches on the line, you know?
Right. See what sticks.
See what sticks. Like reel them in and then toss them back.
Right.
You mistaken me for someone who cares. I'm just a dirtbag.
Our friend Corey deals with inappropriate flirting. What do you think? Does she forgive and forget too soon?
Todd was a very handsome gentleman. I was in 8th grade and he was in 7th grade.
Uh-huh.
And we definitely went around for a hot second. I just
Yeah?
remember him being really cute.
What?
And tall.
When I was in 8th grade, I had a 7th grade boyfriend, and he was really short.
Interesting.
And I think I kissed someone else and he broke up with me, but obviously I was fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of things happened like that as well. I don't think we were together very long.
No, I mean, it was probably
Obviously
like
not.
1 week.
2 weeks
Literal.
tops.
I mean, 1 week was like a real solid relationship.
That was forever.
I do remember I would like hug him and he came up to my boobs, you know? And so it was like awkward because it was like,
Totally.
you know, his head is right in my tiny cleavage.
Tiny cleavage. So in 8th grade, we were in science and we were doing some sort of experiment, and this kid came over and started snapping my bra. Like,
No.
yeah, like just that, like
Like on the back? Or?
in the back, like where it.
Oh, yeah.
It just snapped it
I
a
am
couple times.
familiar with the bra
For
snap.
Sure. And so I was like, leave me the fuck alone. Or, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I cussed him,
You
but
probably
I
didn't.
probably did not. I was a good kid. But I was like, leave me alone, like knock it off. And then I just like continued to do what I did. He didn't stop. And the teacher caught him.
Oh.
And then we had to stay after school.
You had to stay too?
Yes. He called both of our parents.
Well, he was sexually harassing you.
He was actually harassing me. I was super embarrassed.
Of course.
Of course. Because we were friends and he was just being playful. Mm-hmm. Clearly
Not
inappropriately.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I was embarrassed that the teacher caught us.
Right.
I was irritated at him. I don't remember feeling like super
Violated.
violated
Yeah,
by
yeah,
him
yeah.
because he was my friend and he wasn't like, ugh. It wasn't
Yeah.
any of that nonsense.
He
So
was just messing with you.
yeah, so I was super embarrassed that my parents got called, but we went to the dance that afternoon, like right afterward, like after the interaction, we stayed after, we had to talk to the teacher, and then we went to the dance. So it made the dance super awkward.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh my God, this just happened, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. So total buzz. Guarantee the buzz was like all about what just happened.
Right.
And like, I was clearly staying away from him.
As you should.
As I should, because I was just so embarrassed. Like, he was going to get in trouble for it. I was going to get in trouble for it. Not that it was any of my responsibility, but
No.
it sucked. Whatever. He came and asked me to dance. And we danced to November Rain,
No.
which is like 8 minutes long.
Yes. And the most romantic song in 1994.
Correct. So we're dancing to November Rain, and I feel a warm spot on my leg.
No.
That day was also the first time I felt a boner. Poor kid also popped a boner on my leg.
Oh my gosh.
So, like, it was like minute 3. Or
Did
2.
you call it? You had to have called it. You couldn't
I
dance
was
any
so
further.
I was like, well, wait, that's just warm. Like, why is that so warm?
Oh. Gosh, you didn't have the ruler rule? Like, why were you dancing so close together?
Because I did not go to the Christian school. Jesus did not need to be between us.
He apparently did,
Apparently he did.
so you didn't have to have a boner on you.
Yeah. Ben like had to go home and have an awkward conversation with my parents.
Oh my gosh. You
And
shouldn't
it
have
was
even
fine.
had to be involved. The teacher saw it happen. Like, why did you have to stay after?
Because he wanted to make sure I was like fine, and he was gonna like he wanted my
Okay.
parents to know, and
Yeah.
you know, I think he was looking out for me, obviously, but I was
Okay.
just mortified because you know, ugh to everything in the world.
But I only wanna be a motor man on the wire. We couldn't be nicer.
My friend John grew up in LA and is currently a marketing exec raising 2 kids, including a middle schooler. At a dance in 7th grade, he discovers something interesting about girls.
Oh yeah, so there was another girl that I was never my girlfriend, but I had kind of the hots for. Her name was Coley Banger. She was in 8th grade and I was in 7th grade, and I asked her to go to the dance with me. It was kind of nerve-wracking getting up to walk across the quad and ask. She said yes, but then gradually walked it back. Like, I was like, okay, so my mom and I are coming in the station wagon to pick you. She's like, no, we'll meet there. And then at the dance, you know, the slow song would come on and we'd dance. And I think maybe the 3rd slow song that came in, she was like, kind of gave me the elbow. She said, we don't have to dance together at every slow song. And started dancing with her ex-boyfriend.
Oh,
yeah.
cold.
And it was cold-blooded. And I was, you know, my ego was definitely hurt. But then it worked out. The most popular girls were twins, Susie and Katie. I started dancing with Susie, and you know, I looked at, first of all, just for a mental check.
Please tell me, what are you wearing?
I
How's
looked
your hair?
exactly like Anthony Michael Hall in 16 Candles.
No.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the Oxford polo with the poofy blonde hair and the braces. I thought I was mad sweet. I was really dorky. But yeah, so Susie and I started dancing, and I was dancing a lot, similar to Anthony Michael Hall in 16 Candles, doing the fast songs to, you know, whatever. And then whatever Depeche Mode song came on for the slow dance. And I was dancing with her, and I was very, you know, embarrassed by how profusely I was sweating.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so I apologized, and I'll never remember. It was the first time I ever heard this guttural noise come out of a girl. And she said, "It's okay." And I thought, wow, that's unusual.
Why?
I think she was kind of into it. Yeah. 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 Yeah, I mean, and her and her twin sister were like, they were the top billing, you know, top 8th grade girls,
Right.
but they were very studious and had a conservative you know, sort of upbringing. And so for her, yeah, I think this was her first time sort of being, yeah. And
Wait,
that's-
like, were you dancing close to each
oh
other?
yeah, absolutely. Like,
Was this like a bump and grind situation?
no, they didn't have that in the 80s, Abby.
Oh,
They
you guys missed out.
No, we didn't, because what we would do is we would basically just hug and dry hump
Yes.
and then slowly oscillate in a circle.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, same.
Same. There was just no R. Kelly or,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
there was no freaking.
Yeah. No.
No.
John quickly learned more than he perhaps was ready for. Okay, now how did this fellatio?
Oh.
How did that happen at 13?
Well, there was all, you know, again, I'm mortified to say, but there were a number, again, because the female's clearly always smarter, that tried to get into the circle by courting the popular boys.
Oh, okay.
And their MO was, I will do more and dirtier than the popular preppy girls.
Oh.
Yeah, so there was one gal who dated me and 2 of my other friends, and she was like, whatever she'll do, I'll do more. And you know, the really sad part about growing up in LA, and I don't know if it's the case anymore, but in the 80s, like, everything was sexy. Everything was super sexy.
I mean, the word
News-
sexy was like coined during that time.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, the news was sexy. Like, everything's, ads are sexy. Price is Right is fucking sexy. Everything's fucking sexy. That was, the first Hummer I ever got.
Ugh.
And it wasn't over fast enough. It just didn't feel good. And,
No.
Back to the sexy thing. Like,
Okay.
I always felt pressured to say yes. Like, even if I wasn't personally involved with it.
What a girl wants, what a girl needs. Program me, I got everything you need.
At 13, Carmelita enjoyed the attention her new body generated. But she also learns to listen to her gut instincts, what she wants and what she doesn't. How old were you when you got your woman body?
I mean, it was full on at 13. I remember at the end of 6th grade, I was finally, like, I could fit in the clothes at 579?
579.
Yes, that store at the mall.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all the cool girls shop.
Absolutely.
And
Contempo
casuals. And then we had a merry-go-round.
Oh, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, we had a merry-go-round.
I'm sure it was adorable.
Yeah. I was finally, like, at the end of 6th grade, like, I could put on some of that stuff and not look completely ridiculous. But, so I think it was like a size 3 pant size. By the 8th grade, I was a size 13.
Uh-huh.
I went from being like this, like, 12-year-old little girl, and then within the span of a year, my measurements were 36, 24, 40.
Yeah. Woman body.
Woman body. I was covered in stretch marks. The back of my legs, my hips, because it was like one day I was a kid, and then the next day,
Right.
it was like out of control.
Yeah, less than 2 years and 10 sizes.
Yeah, it was kind of insane. And I can remember, like, the first time I noticed a strange man. Like, I'd be, like, out with my parents, and I can remember the first time I noticed, like, a stranger looking at me in a way that, like, I knew, like, that dude's imagining my clothes off. Like,
Carmelita and I are making disgusted faces.
yeah, like, and how jarring that was, because it was, like, I didn't see myself that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I had always been a kid who was in a big hurry to grow up.
Uh-huh.
So maybe it should have been more traumatizing than it was, but I do distinctly remember, like, that feeling of, like, oh, things are different now.
Yeah,
like, this is not the same.
So what did you do with that 36, 24, 40 body? Like, I just feel like some kids, it's a mixture, but some kids are going to show it off a little bit because they're, like, into it and excited about it. And some kids are going to cover it and wear baggy stuff. Like, how did you handle it?
I leaned into it.
Yeah.
I leaned into it. I mean, at that time, short shorts, Daisy Dukes.
Yep.
Had made a comeback.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I go around my little short shorts.
Well, plus it's hot as hell there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was not afraid to show it off. But there was that, like, there was always that tension, right? Like, it was like, you'd wear something with, like, a lower cut neckline, or you'd wear something short. And then you'd have more attention than you were really looking for, and attention from people that you weren't interested in.
Yeah.
And the rumor mill.
Yes.
Oh my God. The rumor mill in high school was, it was awful. So I used to go, like, in high school, I would swing, the pendulum would swing in these two directions. Like, one day I would show up to school in a mini skirt and 5-inch heels.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would show up in huge baggy sweatpants and a Bob Marley t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like, I would do that thing. But all the pregnant girls in high school showed up in sweatpants. So the rumors went around, like, 2 or 3 times, Carmelita's pregnant.
Yeah.
Which, for the record, was not the case. but that was, like, the rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was difficult. It was like the attention is kind of cool because, you know, there's nothing you want as a teenager more than to be grown up and to have people treat you like a grown up. And then at the same time, it was like there were some scary situations and there were some creeps and like situations where you had to figure out how to get out of this situation because I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for 13-year-olds that want to get out of situations?
Oh, man, you know,
or avoid them altogether, ideally.
Yeah, I mean, when possible. I got really good at, it's really funny, in adulthood, like sometimes when I was in college, I went to college in like a small college town, and people would like see me down the street and they'd yell and they'd have to actually catch up with me and like tap me on the shoulder to get my attention. And they were like, dude, I was calling you like for 3 blocks. And I'm like, I don't turn around when people call me. It's like something I learned growing up in my hometown and kind of dealing with bullshit of all different types. Sometimes it was sexual harassment. Sometimes it was weird other stuff. You know, I got to have like eyes forward. You always look like you know where you're going.
Yeah.
You look like you don't have time for it. And you don't engage unless you absolutely have to.
Right. Ignore.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes a lot of times it was like learning to kind of read people's body language. Like some people, they say, oh, hi, and just go, hey. And like not rude, but not too friendly. Like, and like as I'm talking about this, like I get like how fucked up that is.
Yeah.
That a 14-year-old has to figure out how to read other people's body language to tell how they should respond to.
Yeah. I mean, when they say like street smarts, that's what it is, right? Those are the smarts that you learn. Yeah. When my child walks the dog, I coach her like head up, chest up, shoulders back, eyes up, you know, like look like you know where you're going. Like you said, be confident. Don't look away. Like if they're looking at you, look them in the eye. Like you know that they're looking at you. Don't engage, but
no, absolutely. And I'll tell you this too. There were a couple of times that I can think of off the top of my head where something seemed more than just inconvenient or uncomfortable, where something seemed like I got that feeling. If you have that gut feeling, like, no, something really wrong could happen here, run, dude.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah.
Don't
ignore it.
No, don't ignore it. There was this guy in high school who, like, I had heard was kind of into me. I didn't know him very well. Like, I knew some of his buddies. But, like, it was, like, not a good idea for a lot of reasons. I wasn't interested, and there was, like, some weird social politics of people we knew in common. And I was just, like, I'm not into it. He was a little older than me. And I remember this one time, he and a carload of guys were driving, and I was walking to meet my mom. And he's like hanging out the window of the car, and I can see all these guys in the car, and he's hanging out the window of his car, and he's like, hey, I'm going to go drop them off. I'm coming back for you. And I just had this feeling in my stomach, like, you do not want to be here when this dude comes back.
Yeah.
Like, I just had that feeling, like, no, this isn't cool. Like, I don't want this. I ran. As soon as they got out of my view, like they turned a corner, I ran the rest of the way. Because I was like, I'm not going to be here when this dude comes back.
Right. Yeah, and you can tell the difference. Because I'm sure there were other guys that would drive by and be like, I'm coming back to get you. And you'd be like, cool.
Yeah, or just like, you're just kind of, yeah, whatever.
Right.
But like in this situation, I just had that feeling. And it's like, if you have a feeling that something is not right, if you have a feeling that something is not cool, that's not for nothing.
Right.
You're feeling that because it's not cool and it's not all right. And you don't have to stand there and take it.
Fuck politeness, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I ran. And I don't run. You know I don't run.
No, oh, no. Not for anything.
I was not going to be there when that car came back.
You mistaken me for someone who cares. I'm just a dirtbag under the weather.
I started talking to my educator friend Katie about raising kids. Kids who are comfortable with touch and who are also comfortable saying no. She's currently reading Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered by Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark. So we start by talking about the most important lesson in that book, which is fuck politeness. And what did that chapter mean to you? What were your takeaways?
Well, the writer spoke a lot about how, the decisions that she made. She was feminist. She had all this foundation around feminism to say no. But when it came down to it, she couldn't. She relied on the politeness factor. And then I know you and I talked a lot about how there's adults who say, I don't force my kids to hug people they don't want to hug. And I get it. I understand that. I totally see the reasoning behind that. But then when you don't have kids, hug adults and say, it's okay to hug grandparents. This is the kind of familial touch that you need. Then you end up with people like me who are uncomfortable with touch because I don't know how to do that affection. Mm-hmm. And it's my thought process has to be, okay, this is the time to hug my kids. This is the time to hug this person who's feeling pain because it's not a natural thing. And I think that's what we're lacking. So we can't, I always hate when we go to the extreme of, I'm not going to force my kid or I'm going to force my kid. No, it's about a conversation. Like it's not just either or, it's that conversation that has to happen. So it is fuck politeness. I'm never going to force my kid to hug a random stranger or somebody at work or anybody like that. I'm probably going to have them say hi. And they can do it from, 12 feet away. Mm-hmm. That's fine. Good running distance. But I just also think they have to have that conversation about, we hug our grandparents and we hug our moms and dads because that's how we show each other through touch. Mm-hmm. But you never have to have anybody you don't know touch you, ever. And if you're uncomfortable with grandma and grandpa touching you, I need you to come talk to me about that. Mm-hmm. Because I want to talk through those feelings. Because we got to understand why. Because we can't just force them. We got to understand why that makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so, and even speaking for my son, there was another incident that this author spoke about how this person in a bar, this man in a bar, kept forcing this, let me buy you a shot, let me buy you a shot. And she kept saying no. She knew her limits. And so the dude bought her a shot and they were continuing to coax her to take the shot. And she was fed up. So she just dumped it on the floor and left. Mm-hmm. It's me teaching my son too, that when they say no, whether it's a shot, whether it's a cookie, whether it's a phone number, that just means no. Mm-hmm. And it's not that they're being rude. It's that people have a right to say no.
Right.
And they have a right to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. Just like you do too. If a girl asks you to give for your phone number, you can say, I'm sorry, no. If she has to buy you a shot, you can say no. You're not being rude. Just both male and female. I just see the importance of both male and female. We have to teach both of them.
Yeah, set your boundaries.
Absolutely.
And be able to communicate your boundaries and respect other people's.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've ever taught our kids that because it's always been about politeness. Mm-hmm. If a guy asks you out on a date, you need to say yes. No, I'm not attracted to him. But you need to say yes. I don't have to say yes. I'm not attracted to him or I enjoy being single. So it's...
Yeah, that's why as much as possible, when my kid asks why, if I tell her to do something and she asks why, I try to actually give her a reason, I think that everyone should be, they should be able to understand the reasons for why they do what they do and make as many choices as possible in those things. This is just practice, you know?
Right. But we still, this happens in schooling. When a kid is asked to do something and they ask the teacher, well, why? They get sent out of the classroom for being defiant.
Yeah.
Where, when we talk about Common Core, that's what we're trying to pull out of the kid is a why.
Yeah, exactly.
So the teacher has to be prepared to answer that question.
Yeah, that is critical thinking skills. And that's what they want in the workforce.
Right. They want to, and once you get to the point where you explain why they have chores, they stop asking why.
Right.
Because it makes sense to them.
Yeah.
We're a family unit. You're going to do chores.
Yeah. Now, they might not agree with the why, same as when you're at work.
Right.
You may not agree with the why. But once you know, then you have to take action on it.
Correct.
I've been searching for a man.
Here here's one more weird ass note. Let's go to church Wednesday because I really want to get it on with someone. I'm really in the mood to kiss Sam. He's the best kisser in the world. Who knows? Maybe Josh is better. Hey, do me a favor. If you talk to Sam, tell him I'm in the mood to get it on with him big time. And tell me what he says, even if he rejected me, okay?
Search my database. I got a lot of space.
You may be confused by that last note, so let me clarify. We went to youth group on Wednesday nights and made out at church.
Frame. I wanna be your everything. Mind frame.
This period of adolescence was a fun and exciting time. And it was a confusing time. As our friends just described, people touched you in ways that you didn't ask for. People pursued you that you weren't interested in. And I'm not exempt from any of this weirdness. I'm sure I also made people feel uncomfortable. I mean, you can tell by the notes that at least on occasion, I was the aggressor, right?
Yes, Abby, you absolutely were.
I assume that the next generation growing up is just as horny and awkward as we were. But I think they're getting more information about sexuality and setting your own boundaries and actually listening to what other people want. Which means that they can practice these things earlier and be better partners in adulthood. Maybe? I hope so.
Just want you to understand that I'm lovable, wonderful, can't resist the plan.
This track is Mind Frame by Frostclick.